the people with like that walk. I don't know if this is a real thing per se. Because I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest with you, I see this in pop culture. But guys that just like so organized, they walk around with pens in their top pocket. Do you know what they're there for?
So they can write things. I don't know.
Yeah, but what job requires you to like? I need to write something right this second. I'm not just like I don't know. Just have like
An
pen in a
accountant. I don't know.
like an on the move accountant. Because wouldn't they just have a desk?
Well, usually you get accountants into other people's businesses, so
Right.
you
So
call
they're
an
moving
accountant
around.
in. But I feel like paper in the top pocket is sort of a thing that's come from is an older thing, and you probably wouldn't see it these days, right?
Well,
I feel
I've not
like
seen
it.
it
I think
recently.
it was. I feel like it was a thing in the past, right?
Yeah, I think it was a thing in the 90s at the latest, and then I think we started to see the depth of it from the digital age. So
Yeah.
less paper, less trees being chopped for paper.
Well, you
Maybe
know
a good
what?
thing, maybe
As
not.
soon as we cut down all the trees, all that's going to be left is the sludge, and that's the sludge life. Um,
Sludge Life.
Here we go. Tangerine Sludge Life. This game is super unique. I think it's probably the best way to describe Sludge Life. So how do I describe Sludge Life? If you've played a Devolver Digital game, you'll immediately be like, "Oh, it's weird shit I'm in." Um,
Yeah,
which is I'm kind of biased with Devolver stuff.
it
I always check out their stuff because it's always just, oh, it's really
is always
weird.
interesting. Yeah,
We were speaking previously about diegetic menus. Every time you open the settings menu, it's a laptop you throw on the ground.
yeah,
Um,
it's hilarious. Just throw it on the ground,
yeah. Um,
and it's like an old like 90s laptop, right?
yeah. The best way to describe Sludge Life is it's a first person open world, like spray painting tagging open world game where the story of the world is told to you through interaction with characters and seeing how they like
Yeah.
it's environment based storytelling, but not in like a not in like a Dishonored like arcane way. It's in like a
Yeah,
very hyper stylized like Jet Set Radio kind of way. It's
because it's
kind
like
of nuts.
it's
It's
oozing
oozing
with
with
aesthetic.
sludge.
Yeah, that as well. But it's just so stylized, right? It's just
Yeah.
yeah,
But
it's just something.
Sludge Life is one of those games where I'm like, I was playing it and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm enjoying this game like completely, but or I don't even know like what I'm supposed to be doing or what's going on. And then
Yeah,
I come away after playing Sludge Life, and the more I think about Sludge Life, the more I love this game. I don't know how to describe it. It's like so oh man. So immediately I feel like most people can go in and just try Sludge Life. It's sort of
yeah.
like a small interactive little experience. Like for me, I completed the game. I have about 2 hours in the game on Steam, and I would say most people should try it because I think it was given away for free on Epic for an entire year, and then when Sludge Life 2 was coming out, they were like, "Oh, we'll give it away for free on Steam as well." So there's been countless opportunities to
Right.
just get Sludge Life for free,
Yeah.
which is how I'm playing it. Um, so yeah, because that was like a promotion for Sludge Life 2, right? So they wanted people to play that, and yeah, I really like this game, if you can call it a game. Um, so I would say
I
try it
think
in,
it's a
but
game.
I kind of explain some of the stuff that you would diegetically experience if you played the game. Um, I love how fucked this world is. You are in like everyone is working in these giant sludge factory. Well, and everyone in this world smokes, and the
Yeah.
factory workers have gone on strike because their beloved cigarette mascot has been killed. And that is the world of Sludge Life. They care so much about smoking that the mascot Siggy the mascot has been murdered, and they're like, you know what, fuck this, we're going on strike because of
It
that.
like yeah. There's no point working if he's
And
dead.
it's this very much like depressed look on capitalism, I would say, Sludge Life.
Yeah. Or like
And it,
commercial capitalism.
but everyone is just these like hyper stylized characters that are just completely unique, and the main gameplay is just. I think the gameplay exists to get you to just explore the world. The game's not about
Yeah.
going around spray painting things, although, trying to get those tag spots
I
can be fun, but
I
it's
was thinking because like
mostly about just getting you to walk around a world and figure out, well,
yeah.
what is this world about? Who lives in this world? What are they what do they want to do? What are their motivations? Like,
I was
I don't
kind of
know.
looking at this content as like maybe not quite the same because like I was gonna say like a 3D point and click but without the puzzle elements, right? But instead they replace the puzzles with interesting things to do in the world to encourage you to explore. It's kind of the vibe
Yeah.
I'm getting here, which I think is actually a really good combination. And I feel like more point and clicks need to give you this like random interesting mini games or stuff to do in the world. I think that would actually add quite a lot. Yeah, this is it works really well for like the style they're going for. Like just like you're the only one exploring, everyone else just like no, I I'm on strike.
Somebody said in the reviews, if you enjoyed a short hike and are suffering under capitalism, this is the game for you. Jets. Somebody else says Jet Set
um,
Radio for stoners. Um,
yep, I
it's
like
better than
that.
Call of Duty Ghosts. Postal 2 without guns, and there you have it. Yeah, so there's an example of a couple of games. Like Postal 2, I think, is another game where it's really hard to describe what's good about that game, it seems like, for most
Yeah,
people. But there is
yeah,
definitely like
it's
an audience for that
unique.
sort of stuff. And I
Yeah, it's
think
very unique and difficult to explain.
in the way people look back on Postal 2, I think maybe in the future we're going to look back at Sludge Life and go, man, that was something interesting.
So
There's something about this game that's hard to put your finger on,
yeah,
and
it
yeah,
captures a moment of retrospection to another moment in time.
this game is like very relaxing, I would say. There's not really any tension. It is very slow paced, just
But
exploration game.
it's weird that even here, like I see like a person laid back and go, I wonder what they're doing. Like I'm just interested
Yeah.
in like their story.
Yeah. And I think once you learn more about the world, that's when it becomes more interesting. Like, what
Right.
sort of a person could live in this world? It's sort of like,
Yeah.
but but then you talk to people and you're like, they're just going about their normal days, and it's like, well, I guess if you lived in a world like this, you would kind of just get used to it. Is the sad
Well,
thing?
yeah, I think humans just yeah, once you get a certain emotion, you almost don't want change, you just get used to it and like anything changes like radical. It's just like yeah, it's just like it makes you
Oh, this
think.
guy's great. If I can't get drunk in the pool, I'll get drunk in the shower. Hey, it is what it is.
Everyone's drinking beer and smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, another thing, the soundtrack for this game is great. So
I like the sound effects of this game are also great.
there's a musical artist. Hang on, let me find his name. I believe he's called Dose One. I believe is his name. But he essentially does all the music for this game. He does the music for a lot of like the other developers. He does like Enter the Gungeon. He did like some music for Gang Beast. He's done a lot of like soundtrack stuff, but he does a lot of like really interesting music. But he also plays Big Mud, who is like the rapper in this game, and you can listen to the music. It's like there's a song called Bubble Up that is always stuck in my head. It's like bubble up, bubble up, bubble up, bubble up, bubble up, Sludge Life, and it just
It's a
fits
good
this
song.
like theme of the whole world where everything's mud and sludge, but everyone's too
Laid
busy
back.
just smoking and drinking, and they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's like if you played the Outer Worlds and you were like, oh, I get it, it's about capitalism, but you were like, what if you did this way more stylized and subtly? This is kind of what that's like.
Yeah.
Rather than beating you over the head with it, I think this is sort of more of like a subtle approach, I would say, but it is still very much in your face. I don't know. I
It's
feel like
just a
because
different style, I think.
there was a couple of tags where because you get some movement ability, so you get like a glider to help you get the tags, and I was getting, I think I would have liked it if the movement was more. I don't know. I love movement in games, so I'm very much like, oh, I wish you could like grapple onto the side of a ledge and get up, or you had like a
Yeah.
double jump, or you could like the glider is very slow and clunky, but I almost feel like that's intentional to make you move very slow and clunkily. But in a game where the objective, I say in quotation marks, is to tag things, moving around maybe should feel better. I don't know, but maybe that's not the point of the game.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to, yeah, and this without trying it, it's like difficult to know.
I would say this game has incredibly light puzzle, kind of, where you need to figure out how to get into one of the areas and you get some. It's the lightest Metroidvania in the world, is how I would describe Sludge Life.
Right.
Maybe that's a good way to describe it. I don't know. I think ultimately for me, I feel like Sludge Life could have been more condensed.
Right.
And I feel like this. I feel like I know this because I played the Sludge Life 2 demo, and I was like, "Oh, this is like Sludge Life, but with like a super hyper focused linear progression." And it felt like really good to have it condensed down like that for the demo. And I was like,
Okay.
"Man, I wish that was more like how the game was, where it's like more.
Yeah.
I wish it was a bit more focused, but then that would kind of take a bit more away from the." The open world like exploration thing. So that's going to depend on the person, right?
Yes, this is it's tricky.
Like how there's an area
I
called
think.
Gen Pop. It's like a fucking prison.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. I think this game
So
has
the
a
prisoners
couple.
or the aren't on strike.
This game has a couple of endings. I would assume most people probably haven't got any of the endings of this game. Just not in terms of they're hard to do, but I think most people just walked around, talked to people, and like, oh yeah, that's interesting, and then just sort of, because to complete the game it only takes like an hour or so, but there's not really like a linear thing to be like, you need to go here to complete the game. It's like
Yeah.
you kind of accidentally stumble on an interesting area. It's like, oh, what happens if I go up into that tower? Oh, okay. I can, end the game.
This is a very unique experience. Possibly a game. I would say it's a game.
Yeah. Well, it was like with VR in 2016. It's like everything you played was an experience, not a game.
Yeah.
It's like Sludge Life is
I don't know. I feel
definitely
like
at least an experience.
it's at least, yeah. That deuce.
Just gonna leave that sea monster there out of respect. So Sludge Life, I rate Sludge Life a 3 out of 5, but the more I think about Sludge Life, the more I think it's more like a 4 out of 5. But I can't explain like the intricate reasons as to why it deserves a higher rating in terms of like its
I think.
gameplay and stuff. But it
Well,
just in terms of its atmosphere and the music and
yeah.
the intrigue of this game, I don't know.
If
I
the
think this is a
game
really hard game
plays,
to review.
yeah, if this game plays mediocre, then I feel like the style will elevate it above that to like a four. Is how I would justify it. And like it definitely
Oh,
has
there's
like
this
a very
entire
strong
game called
style.
Crypt Keeper that is played entirely on like your laptop, and it's a very like simple game that it's just like kind of a waste of time, but it's also just like a mobile game. Aren't all mobile games just kind of a waste of time? And there's even a
Yeah.
new one in the second game from the demo I played. I don't know.
Oh, it's a sequel to the. Like in the sequel, there's a sequel to the mobile game.
But yeah, if you're someone who's like, this seems interesting to you, and you're like, I've got a couple of hours to check out a cheap game, or you may have already have it for free, check out Sludge Life. I don't think you'll come away disappointed. Pretty fun
Yeah,
experience.
that's good.
What we got next? Keyboard sports. So, I am a huge fan of What the Golf, made by Triban Software. I think it's one of my favorite puzzle games, one of my favorite golf games of all time. I think it is massively unique. It is described as a golf game for people who hate golf, made by people who hate golf.
It's a fun puzzle experience.
But so, what is Keyboard Sports Saving QWERTY? So, this is a puzzle action game where you have to control the character, but you can only control the character by pressing keys on your keyboard, and your character will move to that key.
Right.
So it's another interesting control experiment from the guys over at Triband, and this is so it's not a game that's available, but as part of the Humble Bundle Choice subscription, I was able to play a demo of this on the Humble store. It's like a weird way to play it, but the only way you can play the like demo beta for this game is through the Humble Choice store. So until this game comes out, that's the only way you can experience this. But
Yeah.
hopefully,
It will come out as a full game eventually.
yeah, it's going to come out at some point. But I thought this game was super interesting. But they're asking you like how big your keyboard is and stuff like that, because people have like 10 keyless or like a 40 numpad keyboard and stuff like that.
I mean, some people just have the WSD keys, so I'm hoping they allow for that in the full game.
Yeah. Oh, you can play this on a because that was one thing I was like, you couldn't release this on Apple Arcade. Because they just did the What the Car game, which is an Apple Arcade exclusive. I also felt like this would be very hard to release on console if you wanted to do like a console version of it. It is a very that's the thing about Triband. They do very unique games, which I like. They have this like awesome like almost 2D hand drawn style to it. To
they're all very very similar, but yeah, it has like a nice softness and simplicity to the design.
The more when I was playing this game, I was like, hey, this. Do you remember playing any touch typing games when you were younger? Like I always used to play. Like how I learned to touch type when I was a kid was there was this Lion King game that basically taught you to touch type. It was like a Disney Lion King game, and that's how I learned to touch type. And I'm playing this game, and I'm thinking, if you actually don't know where most of the keys are and you can't touch type, this might actually be although it is definitely designed to be like a game to stress you out and not, I would say probably not a game designed to learn to slowly get people to touch type. It could actually help you learn to touch type.
I think, it depends on, I think it depends like how annoyed you get, I suppose, or like what's your. I guess the question is like, what do you say? Like,
have a cup of tea, and then you press the T key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how frustrating is it, like how hard the levels get? I suppose. Like, is it frustrating way that you don't want to keep playing it? Like, if you were more of a casual gamer, let's say,
mostly
or
like
you didn't
the demo is quite short. I think this recording might be the entire demo.
Okay.
So it's like 15 minutes or something. But I think there was one level where you had to you basically had to click keys to shoot while also moving around, and it was quite tough, but I think that was sort of like the ending of the game, and it wasn't too bad. Like, I think if you die, you usually have to start again, but I only found that on like one level where I was struggling. But it is definitely like, if you're coming from What the Golf, it's definitely more fast-paced than that a lot of the time. And I would say the controls are a bit harder because What the Golf is very much just, you're dragging a mouse backwards and forwards, whereas in this game, you kind of need to use the whole keyboard and you need to use it in different ways. Also, you can't be Sideshow Bob and walk on a rake.
Okay. That's an instant failure state, is it?
Yeah. That's instant death. Well, I've been playing Blasphemous on my Steam Deck recently, and one thing about that game is stepping on spikes is instant death every time.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that's pretty funny. Hold down a key to duck. Okay, so this is like a tutorial area. But yeah, this is mostly just teaching you how to play the game. I'll skip ahead to show you some other stuff. It gets pretty chaotic, when you...
Oh, God. On a plane.
But I would say generally the game is still pretty fun, even though it can be a bit clunky. On a plane crash.
I think...
Going skiing.
I think it's just a cool, fun idea. I'm just like, oh, this is unique, a unique way of moving your character around.
Yeah. Hold on to your mind space until you're all the way in.
Oh my god, what the hell?
Oh yeah, here's the LSD part.
What the?
Yeah, this game goes places. I mean, I'm ice skating on a keyboard in a dream. I think I'm trying to avoid a spotlight. Okay, this is the part I was talking about where you have a crossbow. So you need to. It's a bit awkward to choose which direction you're facing. In order to, because you
Oh,
kind of
so you
need
have to
to.
do it in the correct
This,
order.
yeah. This was like, where I think the game was getting a bit clunky, sort of thing. Where I was like, and then you kept having to restart if you died here.
Right.
I'm like, it's kind of designed to be a bit like weird and janky.
Oh, you just need to. Okay, right. I think it's harder and harder, does it? Okay. I find the other stuff we saw, like I feel like you could actually use to learn to touch type. This part not so much.
Oh, you'll learn very fast to touch type for this.
Yeah, I guess you learn or you die. Oh my god,
You
learn
learn
or
or you
you die.
die. Die. Dodging cars now, dodging cars. But I feel like this
Mhm.
was the climax of the demo, so this might be like a later level in the full thing. I'm not sure, but
Right, right.
or they might change. I mean, this is a demo from like I think maybe a few years ago, maybe even now on the Humble Store, so they could have completely changed a lot of this stuff. But yeah, this looks really fun, and I'm
It
looking
looks
forward to the full
yeah,
release.
that's
Oh,
interesting.
here's me recording my screen as is tradition, being unable to use video recording software to capture Portal RTX without it crashing.
So okay, yeah, recording a
So here we have Portal Prelude RTX with the inclusion of the Portal funnel and Portal render depth mechanic, which is something interesting. So as part of their brand new tech demo for path tracing, they added path tracing to an old Portal mod called Portal Prelude. And this Portal Prelude mod I have never played. So this is my first time playing Portal Prelude and also the RTX version. And I have mixed opinions
thoughts.
on Portal
Yeah,
Prelude. I think
because I was there helping with some of these puzzles, right? And just like it just turned out to be like you knew what to do. It was just like executing it.
yeah, so I would say generally Portal mods compared to the Portal game are usually a bit more janky because
Yeah,
Valve is like QA testing these with like hundreds of people, right? And these mods are like,
weekly.
well,
Yeah,
I've played Portal for 100 hours. I know how to, quick switch
and I
portals
made
in
it.
midair.
Yeah, I
So,
think this is a fun mechanic.
and a lot of some of the puzzles were more slower paced and were good. And I was like, oh yeah, this was like genuinely. I think there is some like really cool, fun puzzles in Portal
Yeah,
Prelude,
yeah,
and
agreed.
but there was a lot of puzzles where it's like you need to shoot another portal in midair and use your momentum to
Yeah,
keep going, and that's
like
not
like
something
like
you
this one.
do. That's not something you do in base Portal. One, because it's
No.
a very hard mechanic for a new player to do, but also even like a new also this level, I kept getting fucking caught on that little ledge there over and over again. It was quite annoying.
Yeah, this level particularly really frustrated me to watch. Is that I couldn't even like figure out in my head like how you were being able to like watch you like quickly do things quick enough like while you're in mid end. Like that just seems
I
insane to
think
me.
um I think Portal RTX because I played the entirety of this and Portal RTX in the RTX versions. I think the big difference was in Portal 1 you're moving around fast but you're never switching out of a portal mid portal, immediately coming out of a portal and then very quickly putting down another portal and then very quickly
You
putting down another portal, right?
We don't have to. You can speed run it like that, but you don't have to do it to
The
to
the the
complete
the,
the
the problem is like with path trace games, you're usually using DLSS3, which is what I was using here, and using
yeah.
DLSS3, you're adding input latency to this game. So I think a tech demo that requires you to have very quick, precise inputs is probably not the best use case for DLSS3. Like,
Yeah.
when I was using it in Ratchet and Clank, that's a third-person game, and I didn't usually like over-the-shoulder third-person games are going to feel
A little
like
bit slower.
yeah, a little bit slower. There's not that immediate first-person input that you need. Whereas in
Yeah.
this game, not only do you have that first-person perspective, but you also need input delay that sometimes would be considered hard on like without this DLSS 3 frame generation input. It's hard to perform without that input anyway, and then you're adding more input on top of it. I think
Yeah.
it's not the great, but generally, I think they did a really good job of adding a bunch of new assets to the Portal RTX stuff. I think like a lot of stuff, like the beams that destroy you if you stand in them, they're definitely the teleporter from Half-Life 2 zhuzhed up a bit in RTX form.
It looked fantastic.
I think
The lighting.
it's a big leg up when they have already NVIDIA Lightspeed Studios making all of those most of the Portal assets already. It's like, well, we just need to make a couple more, and then we could add some Portal mods to this, which I think is cool. Like, I'm very excited for Half-Life RTX. I think that's going to be like a really good use case for this technology. And I'm really excited
Yeah.
to see more path trace stuff, because my general experience with path trace stuff and frame generation in general has been quite positive. But I think ultimately this is not the greatest showing for it. I think, and there's a couple of puzzles you do where it's like, oh, here's me getting stuck again. Like, there's a lot of bugs with this mod. One thing cool they
Yeah.
did was because I had never seen the original mod, so I looked it up on YouTube. The original mod. Here's me putting no on because I'm literally stuck in the geometry. There we go. What was I saying? I looked at the original mod, right? And so there's voice acting in this. And in the original mod, they use text to speech in order to do the voice acting.
Right.
But for this
Yeah.
version, they went and back and fully voice acted all of it. And I was like, that's such a neat touch.
Yeah.
That's really nice that they did that. Here's me getting stuck on geometry again. I'm just pointing out how fucking frustrating this level was with all the bugs it had.
Yeah, because this is the one with the boss bar at the end, right? Where it's like, but like, don't know. Is it? I guess this isn't like none of this is actually canon. This is like like beta content, like from like the Star Trek or the Star Trek
So
universe. It's like
So
extra.
the story of this game is it's set before the events of GLaDOS taking over the
Yeah,
Aperture
because
Science.
she's not active yet, right?
Yeah. Oh, here's me going and looking at the models because I wanted to see what they look like in RTX. I think they're just the human citizens. Oh yeah, there's the RTX. There's the RTX you wanted.
I think that I think I took a screenshot of that.
You love to see it. But
That's
yeah,
great.
some of the levels are like, the level design's not great, and it's like you need to complete this very quickly in one go, otherwise you'll have to basically restart the entire level again, and that's not something
Yeah,
that Valve would ever do in their Portal levels.
no, they have good checkpoint systems normally.
And like another thing is like sometimes I would go through a portal and I would come out like upside down or facing the other way, and it was really disorientating. I don't know if that's just a thing from this. It felt like I'd never experienced that in Portal or Portal 2, and yeah, there was definitely some wacky stuff going on. Like there's literally this portal funnel mechanic to control and portal depth as well to try and when you edited these it was like it would change your momentum. Um so sometimes you would want to jump if you had it off, or you would not want to jump if you had it on. It's like, yeah, there was some wacky stuff going on with like the actual mechanics in this. Like, I think generally most people probably wouldn't enjoy this mod based on the average Portal player. I think like
Yeah.
if you're more advanced, I hit the fucking grid when I went up. Otherwise, I would have made it.
Yeah, this one in particular looks like the worst level, to be fair. I think other ones
Let's just
are more fun,
skip
even when there's like requires like
skip ahead to.
high precision.
I think like it took me a while to get this test chamber done, but there was some that I thought were really cool. Like,
Yeah.
here's me successfully doing it. So this is a new mechanic introduced. So you have to dodge that death beam. Like it goes off at certain times, and if you're in it, then you'll get killed by it. I completed this entire thing, so it was
Yeah.
my first, and there was some cool stuff towards the end as well. But I feel like you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to.
this stuff looks cool.
You had to go through a lot of shit to get there.
Yeah.
Like there was this cool gravity mechanic stuff where you had to change. You had to like shoot buttons on the wall with like gravity stuff that was quite interesting. But I think this Portal mod, I went, oh, this feels like weird and outdated. But you have to remember, like, this Portal Prelude mod was actually one of the first Portal mods ever made. So this Portal mod came out in like 2007, 2008, like really soon after Portal launched.
That's crazy.
And yeah, so it's like one of the first Portal mods that actually came out. So I think
Considering
it's a
the
lot
mechanics they
more
tried to put in there,
dated than
that's
the
yeah.
other Portal mods. But yeah, I went in like hating some of the levels, but then I actually genuinely enjoyed a lot of the mods. I think there is some really cool stuff in this mod, but it's just bogged down by like expecting you to know like advanced portal flipping. Is that G-Man? Did I notice G-Man in the fucking?
I think you mentioned it. Yeah, I think you remember G-Man.
It's a nice reference. If they put
There's
G-Man.
G-Man at the end. Maybe that's what I'm remembering.
G-Man was in the end of this. I don't remember that.
Yeah,
He had a fucking
not
poop
it was like
neck.
outside the test chambers, but
Yeah, that's a classic Valve fan reference. Just put a random G-Man in your Valve mod.
it's kind of creepy because they're upside down, right?
Yeah, well, the whole thing in this chest chamber is
Yeah,
it's gravity and changing perspectives. I think because this mod on Steam is a massive negative. It's like mostly negative review, and I think the first Portal RTX is like massively negative as well. And I think a lot of the bad reviews are this doesn't run on my PC. Which
right.
are
Yeah,
understandable. Not many people have access to like a 4090, 4080 class card.
yeah.
Um,
But those aspects that
Here I
I
understood the
thought.
mechanic, but it just went slightly
Yeah,
off. Whereas
yeah.
I feel like with Valve, they would just kind of push that cube onto the button and be like, oh, he understood the Look at the red lighting coming from the button, the diffuse
It looks
lighting.
beautiful. Yeah, it looks great.
But yeah, I would say
Ah, not the mechanics.
the actual like lighting and the path trace RTX
Yeah.
is really good looking. And I would
It
recommend
makes me
it.
excited for the future. We could do this on more
Yeah.
cars that are cheaper. Like I think this shows the future, but like we're many years off like being accessible to everyone.
Well, it's going to be interesting because we're just about to have Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty with
Yes.
the Ray reconstruction. So it's going to be really interesting to see that when it comes out.
It's crazy
It's
that
fun.
Cyberpunk's become like this platform for adding lots of stuff, and it's actually not just janky.
But yeah, poor Prelude. I completed the mod. There's some cool levels in there, but bogged down by some subpar levels, and not everyone can run ray trace stuff on
Yeah,
path trace. But I think
it looks great though.
people are gonna have to get used to the fact that their rigs aren't gonna be able to run path trace stuff
Yeah,
without heavy caveats like frame
but
generations, which is only available on the higher end 40 series
yeah,
cards, or FSR3 maybe somewhere along the
but I feel
line.
like it was clearly stated what it is when you see like RTX. I don't know. To me, it was like pretty clear, but I guess I'm also in this cycle of like looking at these as tech demos and like seeing what they can do. So maybe it's a bit different.
Yeah. But yeah, I went. I think by the end of the mod, my opinion of it slightly changed. I gave it a
Yeah,
two
the
and a. I gave
ending
it a
was
two and
great.
a half stars. I think
I
it got better as
I
it
think
went
it,
along.
yeah, I think at the start for sure, and I think maybe like 3.5 once you got to like the ending, in my opinion. But not having played it, like I can't know the feeling of it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the end of the Tangerine. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
But